Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Gland Bodybuilding. Mountain. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about whether you can become a great competitive bodybuilder by training at home. The reason why I'm talking about this is because somebody in the comments asked me my honest opinion on this and what are the advantages of training in a gym versus training at home or vice versa. Because a lot of times, a lot of us, myself included, will get caught up into what is new and what is interesting is automatically better. And the gyms over the years have been guilty of this in a lot of ways because they're trying to market new and exciting ways to motivate yourself to get to the gym by having fancy machines or creative angles. And there can be some really great stuff out there. I mean, some of the machines can really help you isolate certain areas, but it is arguable of whether it is absolutely necessary in order for you to become a competitive bodybuilder. So the basis of this question is, a lot of times when people train at home, they have limited space, limited equipment. It's definitely not going to be the same as going to the gym, unless of course you're like Lex Luthor in Smallville and you have unlimited space to work with and you have a 10,000 square foot gym in your house and you have all the different machines. But most of us, if we're lucky, we're limited to a squat rack, a barbell, and maybe a set of dumbbells that goes up to a limited amount of weight. But the truth is that if you have a decent amount of weight to challenge yourself, especially in the barbell stuff, and you do some other movements like more one-legged squats with dumbbells, or you're doing some other creative movements with the dumbbells because you don't have quite as heavy a weight there, you can put on quite a bit of muscle. The truth is that sometimes when you're repping out with some creative angles, you could put on a great amount of muscle as long as you're doing the right exercise for your body type, as long as you're doing some heavy stuff once in a while as well. So really what I would say is that the disclaimer on this thing is, do you have enough weight to challenge yourself or enough tension? And are you able to do certain exercises that allow you to challenge yourself? So if you have a squat rack and say you have dumbbells, and even if you don't even have a bench, maybe you're just having to do it on the floor, like maybe you have to do dumbbell presses on the floor and so forth, I will say that you can definitely put on enough muscle to be able to become an elite natural bodybuilder. Because with dumbbells, you can do walking lunges, you could do one-legged squats, you can do all sorts of exercises that challenge you with that weight. And I believe 100% that a lot of those exercises are probably far more effective than most of the machines. Now, is there an advantage to doing machines here and there? Yes. I mean, one could argue that doing leg presses, if you have lower back issues or some type of stability issues or something like that, sometimes doing leg presses will allow you to push the quadriceps into a deeper level of failure without the lower back or some other issue becoming the weak link. But if your body is healthy and you're able to do some exercises that truly challenge the muscles, I honestly believe you do not have to go to the gym and have all these creative machines and so forth. One example of this would be calf raises. A lot of times people go to the gym because they need a calf machine and they need a heavy weight on the calves, but nothing is heavier on the calves than plyometrics. And the calves are meant to jump, right? That's what the calves are used for, is for jumping and sprinting and those types of movements. So I would say doing body weight calf workouts, like one-legged calf raises on the stairs and doing jumps in between sets or, mini jumps like skipping and so forth, you will build massive calves with that, especially if you have a decent amount of body weight that you've put on over the years from lifting weights with the upper body and the legs overall. So basically what you have to do is get creative with what you're doing. And there are a lot of ways that you can still hit a muscle, even if you don't have that perfect, hammer strength machine or that perfect bent over row machine or whatever. You just will have to get creative with the movements that you're doing. And I do find that that is one of the advantages of training at home, is that because you have limitation, you start to get creative. I can honestly tell you that I have never done floor presses in the gym. For years, I never did floor presses. But when I started training at home, I thought, hey, I'll just try this out just because it's something different. It's a new variation. And I found that floor presses, honestly, feel almost better on the chest in some cases because your shoulder's up against the floor, so it helps stabilize the shoulders properly, and you're never in danger of going down too far. And at the same time, you get that constant tension on the chest. So floor presses for a lot of people might be better for them in order to put on mass on their pecs rather than the standard bench press. So what I'm trying to say is that when you are at home, you are kind of forced into these little experiments rather than just working on these different machines and almost becoming dependent on machines. You're using variations of the same exercises, and sometimes just a variation with range of motion or a variation with, laying on a bench or laying on a floor can create such a diversity of experiences and tensions that you might find that magic movement that creates the most amount of tension for you, as well as giving you the most results and the least amount of injuries. Because that's the thing with machines. Sometimes they're built for you, sometimes they are not. So some machines might feel great for one guy and then they're horrible for another person. And that's the other thing. I think machines a lot of times will create injuries in certain people because they'll try to start from too low of a position. And one example of this is, there's a machine at the gym right now. It's a press machine and it starts way too low for most people. And you don't have a way of adjusting it to starting at a higher position. So I find a lot of people are kind of yanking their shoulders in weird positions, and that can be an injury waiting to happen for a lot of people. So back in the day, one could say, hey, the gym is the best place to go because of the variety, because people were limited to barbells and dumbbells at home because buying a big machine system or a station or a lat pull down station was impossible. But the stuff that's available now in your home gym and the versatility of it is amazing. I mean, those pulleys that you just hook up to a squat rack so that way you can do cable type movements is an example of this. And there's all these different attachments that you can add to a squat rack so you can do lat pull downs or you can do different types of rowing or bicep curls and so forth. The fact that you can do this stuff at home now, I would say you could get the same, if not even better results sometimes training at home. It just really depends on you. So, oh yeah, leaves are killing it. Look at the exercises you're doing, and if you don't feel like you're hitting the muscles properly, then experiment. Like I always say, experiment with the range of motion, experiment with the technique. I've seen so many people, like with squats, I just made a video on this, they'll squat a certain way because that's the right way to squat, but they don't look at, oh, maybe I should change my stance. Maybe I should change the position of my toes. Maybe I should change the range of motion. Maybe I should change the placement of the bar, so that all of these variables are working towards putting tension on the area that I want to grow and that I want to hit or stimulate. And instead of getting lost in the, what's social media approved proper technique, find out what the technique is to super isolate that muscle group in order to get it to grow. And this is why, I'm going to tell you this is why I was one of the best natural bodybuilders on the stage. And I noticed this with a lot of other great natural bodybuilders. They were not married to what the peons or the peasants were doing. They were doing stuff in a special way to make sure they were hitting their muscles in a very concentrated way. They were not stuck into following the herd of sheep or trying to get approval by doing everything properly. The truth is, most of the advanced natural bodybuilders that I trained with and competed against, they were very open-minded about experimentation and trying to find out what is the proper way for them to stimulate their body so that way they could look better in the next show instead of just impressing somebody with doing something according to the proper way, right? So I'm still going to emphasize, you got to break free from this this sheep mentality of the exercise has to be this way, it has to be that way. No, the only way the exercise has to be is the way that doesn't injure you and the way that stimulates muscle growth. That's it. It doesn't have to be in some sort of uniform way. Like if you bench press, you have to touch your chest, or you have to have a certain grip a certain way, or you have to arch your chest a certain way. Like, no, none of this stuff really applies. The only thing that truly applies is finding that technique that keeps the stress off the joints as much as possible and keeps that stress on the muscle so that way you grow. So yeah, that's the other advantage of training at home. Sometimes training at home, you can block out the noise of the world and just concentrate on you and just doing what works for you instead of paying attention to all the people who are just following the crowd, the in crowd of bodybuilding or whatever, right? And the thing is, we are also stuck in this time where popularity or how many followers somebody has automatically means they must know more. But nothing can be further from the truth, because the amount of following you have on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, it has nothing to do with your knowledge or has nothing to do with somebody else's knowledge. The results that they got, that's more important. And the results they helped other people get, that's more important. So anything I say means nothing if it doesn't help you get more results. So always bear that in mind. Remember, experiment, and yes, you can become a great natural bodybuilder training at home, The first 4 years or so, I trained at home and got lots of results. I just trained at home in the family garage with all the weights that we had there. And that's where I got the majority of my beginner results. And then I went on to a gym because we moved houses and I was forced to leave the garage, although I didn't want to. I loved the garage. That was the best place to train. So yeah, I hope this helps out in your training, guys. I hope this answers your question. Thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalgalantbodybuilding.com. And thanks to the page supporters, and take care for now. Mountain.